In this series, we're growing a Robinhood account from $0 all the way to 1 million. And I'm showing you every step of the way how I get there. So today in the account, we have $5,540. We've had a nice gain today just because the market is showing weakness and we are net short over the coming weeks and months on the S&P 500 as well as cryptocurrency. And we've also added some puts on MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, as well as Palantir. So we're trying to time the top there, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Just diving right into the charts, we did have a stronger sell today on the S&P 500. We are forming somewhat of a bear flag. You can see it here. We are in this uptrend. Volatility spiked and SPY fell. We are finding some support here, likely into the end of the day. But I do think that the market will head lower if you've been following along in my other videos. I'm really looking at this gap to be filled at some point down to 576. So I think we will come back down there and fill the gap. We only partially entered it for a moment and bounced from it. So that's been acting as support. But this 576 level, that's probably going to be a nice area for you to play a bounce on some short-dated contracts. What I really like to look for is the VIX. So when the VIX spikes to the upside, it always will kind of settle. The market will bounce and volatility will come down a bit. This time, volatility didn't quite go up as much. It did hit around 1850 today on the VIX, and then since then it's been in a downtrend. A really good position when you see volatility spike is to buy puts on UVXY. This is an ETN on VIX futures, and even just this small of a drop, you can see that it's dropped roughly 7.5% today. If you were buying UVXY puts expiring today or next week, you'd be up over 100%. As long as you were timing it when there was a big sell, volatility was high, then it unwinds throughout the day. So really looking over the next couple weeks to try to time the market on bounces when it's at support and buy UVXY puts. I think it's just kind of a no-brainer. But SPY might rally a little bit here into close, but ultimately I do think it will break down this bear flag, head towards 576. That would be my short-term support target over the next week or two. And then I think at some point we are going to still head a bit lower. This 565 level, that's what I've been eyeing in January. I plan to take a good amount of profit there, and I think that area will also act as support. And then if we really start selling, depending on how the news goes and what comes from the January FOMC meeting, where Jerome Powell will have to make a decision whether he wants to hold rates, cut rates, or even raise rates, because the 10-year yield has been rising. Even though the Fed has been cutting 100 basis points so far, the yield is up 100 basis points. So the market is kind of fighting against the Fed right now, and I think that we are going to have a bigger sell in the market. Next, let's take a look at Palantir. This is really controversial. Everybody loves Palantir as a company, but if you just look, it's at 180 billion market cap. It's trading at a 417 price to earnings ratio, which is insane. This company is just, I had shares in the 20s and sold around 40. And then it just kept going higher. I should have held on or sold covered calls. But nonetheless, I do think that the top is in on Palantir. You can see that MACD has been kind of topping out and even heading a bit lower as price has been going higher. So there's somewhat of a divergence there, as well as RSI has been in this downtrend. So both RSI and MACD are telling me that Palantir is losing strength. And then if you look at volume profile over the last couple months, there's not a lot of volume that this price is standing on. And I think we will come down to this 42 to 47 range at some point, and that will act as a strong support zone. So I'm thinking over the next 3 or 4 months, we could potentially get down near $50, even hit this target here. And then I will be a buyer of Palantir because there's just so many cult-like followings behind this stock that I think that, for the long term, it's going to be a really good buy and hold. Plus, the company's not bad. It is the fundamentals are improving quarter over quarter. It's beating its earnings. It's securing more contracts. And most importantly, it has more institutional ownership. I think it's just crossed over the 50% institutional ownership mark. So bearish on Palantir for now, but I want to buy long term. So I'm going to be buying shares when it gets down there. And then lastly, MicroStrategy. If you're long Bitcoin, that's okay. I do think Bitcoin is going to correct further down to 75,000. But MicroStrategy, which really is just holding Bitcoin but diluting shareholders to buy more Bitcoin, is not only diluting the ownership of shareholders, but they want to increase the amount of shares by 10 billion. So right now there's 330 million Class A shares outstanding. They want to dilute shareholders by 10 billion more shares, a 31-fold expansion. And this is the letter that Michael Saylor put together, just saying what his plan is basically, I'm just going to dilute shareholders and continue to buy Bitcoin because I think Bitcoin is going to be worth $1 million one day. I might as well just keep buying into it. If you're a Bitcoin maxi, I don't know why you're buying master shares. You should just be buying the underlying. But nonetheless, you can see in the technical chart that it did break down this uptrend earlier. It's kind of formed this wedge, and now on like the 15-minute or the hourly chart, it is breaking below. And we do have a gap to fill down here at 280 with low volume here. So price will like to move quickly. This will probably come down and test that level. That might act as support. I still think that MicroStrategy, because of what they're trying to do, this is going to head much, much lower over the coming months. But on my position, I think that I'm going to try to time this with where I think Bitcoin is going to bottom, take profit, and then if MicroStrategy and Bitcoin bounces, we'll kind of reevaluate and see if it's going to head lower or not. But on Bitcoin, I would like it to come down into this zone again around 70 to 73K. There's not a lot of volume here, so everything's kind of lining up for this to head lower. And then I think even looking at the 50-day moving average, it just finally broke below that. So as long as we break below this 92.3K level, its price is going to move pretty quickly, especially under 85,000. There's like almost no volume there. And we are going to head into this 76 loan, which is like the next volume shelf. So a lot to look forward to over the coming weeks and months. I'm mostly bearish on the economy and the market as a whole right now. I think there's going to be a lot of volatility. So really just be patient if you're looking to buy the dip on anything in the market because everything moves together like an ocean. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll probably make another one over the weekend. Probably not so much focused on the challenge, but more so some other investing and trading ideas that I have. Hope you guys enjoy this. Have a good weekend, and we'll talk soon. Peace.